Well, hello, my little beauties, and welcome to a daily dose of David. I've been doing these impromptu live streams lately, and I rather enjoy them. I don't know if anybody else does. I'm speaking to you with an audience of zero right now, and maybe it'll stay that way, but that's okay. It's really just a case of I discovered this feature on YouTube where you can just hit stream live and off we go. If people enjoy this type of thing, then I mean, I'm not begging for thumbs up or anything. I don't even know if this video is monetized. But let's just say I'm keeping a close eye on things, and if this type of thing is appreciated, then maybe we could make this a regular thing, and perhaps we could even do this at set times. In any event, I thought I would come on and say a couple of little things to do with me dressing the way that I dress and watches and all of that stuff. Now, a couple of days ago, or was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I, I spotted a channel. Somebody had messaged me and said, "Have you seen them talking about you on this channel?" And it was a channel. We're not going to go into all of the the drama of it all, but basically, I had banned someone from this channel. This person then went on to another podcast, and about three or four of them did a what must have been maybe a half-hour hit piece or something, or oh, look at the state of that guy and so on. I mean, they just unleashed themselves on me, which is absolutely fine. Um, and it was they were watch enthusiasts as far as I can tell. How you doing, Jim? Thank you very much. Nice to see you. Jim there says looking sharp today, boss. Well, we're going to talk a wee bit about that because one of the things that they said to me, um, or they said on this thing where they were talking about how hideous this guy is they were saying, "Oh, check the cheap suit." Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah, he's sitting there wearing it, and they made that remark. And I wanted to address this, and if I can tie this in with the general, well, some general thoughts about the watch community, because this is a web development channel. I am a web developer. Immediately after this, I'm going to be doing my daily live coding thing, and I'll probably be working until midnight, but I'll be writing code. That's what I do. However, I have made some interesting observations about the watch community. And I thought that I would share these observations for the interest of anyone from the watch community who's maybe going to look at this. And I think there's a couple who watch, but also for some web developers because, can you excuse me? There's the door. I have a delivery and I have no clue what it is. This is exciting. Hang on. Well, can you believe it? It's actually a watch. Yeah, so like I say, I do like watches. Are we going to open this? I don't know. Anyway, just a couple of thoughts about the watch industry. Um, I do like watches. As you can see, one has just came in here. Uh, I don't know what type of watch it is or anything. I'm known to just spontaneously order watches from time to time. I have no idea what this is. Um, anyway, the thing about it is though, I don't. Watches are good, but I think I'm wearing watches for different reasons from everybody else here. I get the impression that some of these watch enthusiast people are out here flexing wealth, and they're all freaking out because somebody has a Rolex or something like that, and I'm not a part of that world at all. I'm really not. In fact, I'm just having a look at this one here. Um, Holy moly! Well, that is an absolute beaut, and I'm not going to show you it. I'll show you it during the members live stream. Ha ha ha! Ha. Bet you wish you'd joined now. Anyway, yeah, what the watch thing. God, I'm all over the place. I got really thrown with that delivery. Another live stream ruined. Let me try and make my thoughts coherent, and I'll get a swig of this, and let me get my thoughts together. Okay, I'm an idiot. Just give me 5 seconds. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. So those guys were like that. Oh, he's wearing a cheap suit and all of that stuff. They just don't get it. Dressing the way that I now dress, and I've been doing this for about 6 months, is not expensive at all. Now, flexing wealth is part of a scale, and we have to be careful here because at one end of the scale, you've got flexing wealth, which to me equals death, right? To be that guy. I mean, go look up Timepiece Gentleman if you've not heard of the guy. See what happened. Um, People who flex wealth, as far as I can tell, they always come to a bad end, you know? So flexing wealth is death. But on the other end of the spectrum, you've got Yorkshire mentality. I have ancestors from Yorkshire, so no offense to you folks, but I get the phrase from Monty Python. You know the Yorkshire men clip where they're all like, "Oh, when I was young, we had it tough," and everybody starts competing to talk about who has or who had the toughest life. That is also incredibly negative. And I very uniquely have been guilty of both of these things. I mean, the ultimate symbol of flexing, in my opinion, if you're a guy, the ultimate symbol of flexing, and Tucker Carlson did it lately, and I think he made a mistake. I think we've had peak Tucker, by the way, because I noticed that he started doing it, and that is smoking a big fat cigar and maybe laughing. Ha 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 ha, right? If you're a guy, that is the ultimate gesture of I'm all right, Jack, F you, right? So look out for that. If you see a guy smoking a big cigar on a YouTube channel and possibly laughing, they're flexing wealth. Um, I have done that, actually. I've been that guy, you know? Um, and I'm not going to. It's so easy to say it was kind of joking. Well, it was, but it's so easy and cowardly to say that. I think I was probably flexing wealth at the time, if I'm being honest. It must have been about 4 years ago. And even though I do like the smell of cigars, I'm not going to do that on here. I'm not going to come and smoke cigars here. I'm over it. So I think it's something that I'm guilty of. But on the other hand, I have gone to the other end of the spectrum as well, and the other end is really uncool. Not so long ago, I did a video where I was showing my bank statements and stuff and talking about how I'm starting from rock bottom. And, I spent 4 years on this open source framework and everything. It's just, oh man, no, it's terrible. And that's awful as well. So you really don't want to be anywhere at those two extremes. You want to, and by my estimation, just be somewhere in a happy center ground. Now, I work from the assumption that you, the viewer, are an incredibly intelligent person, probably an incredibly forgiving person as well, because it's like I mean, if I was in your shoes and I saw somebody doing half of the stuff that I've done, I'd be saying this guy's a total dipshit. But my assumption is about you, my assumption is that you are far too intelligent to fall for that bullshit. Far too intelligent to fall for it. And I'm surprised that those watch enthusiasts are living in that world. I think they're living in the past, actually. And I think that the watch industry is going through a sort of revolution right now. This is my observation. Now, 6 months ago, I did not know what a bezel was, right? So I'm a newcomer, but I'm giving you the perspective of a newcomer, and hopefully you'll find this interesting. The the watch industry is kind of going through the same thing as the guitar industry. And that is that quite recently there were certain guitar manufacturers who figured out how to make perfect guitars, as perfect as possible, better than Gibson Les Pauls and all of that. And they can do these using machines. I think they call them, is it CNC machines? They can do this. So you can now buy a guitar for $200 that is as good as a £4,000 Les Paul. And the guitar community is up in arms because they kind of have to come to terms with this. And I think that the watch industry is currently going through the same type of thing. So, for example, one of the watch channels that I like to watch from time to time is Wes Watches. And have you ever heard the word watch being said so many times in one sentence? But let me show you Wes Watches if I can. It's a new channel, and I think I'm not advertising, I don't even know the guy, but I think it really encapsulates the state of the watch industry. So if we look at this here, now, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I hope so. So this is one of the channels that I watch. Wes Watches, quite a new one. Now, what he's doing is incredible. He's reviewing these watches that are dirt cheap. Look at the prices, $35. There's one $20, and on we go. But some of them are really, really great watches. And you take this one, for example. We have obviously copies, we have replicas, things like that. Well, I guess we have, I suppose I'm trying to say we have fakes, we have homages, and we have the real thing. I don't really know what category that falls into. This watch that we are looking at here, it borrows elements from a whole bunch of different watches. Now, I don't know if it's for me, but that's interesting. Another one that's interesting, there was one he did recently that blows me away. Where is it again? There was one here. I mean, the headline says it all. Not a Tudor, nor a Rolex. It's an Addies dive. And, look at it here. These watches are peanuts to the pound. And I think that having bought a few of them, they're actually really, really excellent. In the days of being able to look at a watch and see if the hands, let me bring myself on camera, the days of being able to look, and if the hand's doing that, it's cheap, and if the hand sweeps, it's expensive, that has gone. The so-called micro brands have figured out how to make really, really great watches, and I'm going to show you something else. Maybe I'll come back to Wes Watches in just a moment, but I'll show you another one video that is really interesting. I don't know the guy's name. Here's the video. Here's the video. Glad I found it. Called Wrist Check. And this, he talks about the best Rolex super clone, and it's an incredible video because the Reader's Digest is If somebody comes up to you with one of these watches, you're not going to be able to tell if it's a fake unless you've got a frigging microscope or something, you know? But the really interesting part of this video is right at the very end. There's a moment when he says, and I'll paraphrase, but he says something that blew my mind. He says that, you know, he's looking inside the watches, and these companies that are making these fakes are at the level now where even the interior looks the same, the wheels and the screws and everything. And this guy says that by his estimation, the companies that are producing fake watches are now at a level where they can, I repeat, they can replicate these premium brands like Rolex and so on at will. They know how to do it. The game's up. They absolutely know how to do it, even to the extent where our man here with his microscope and his white lab suit could not figure out the difference. But he says the only reason they're not doing it is simply because to do so would take time and it would be an expensive process. And he says they're not trying to sell Rolexes at Rolex prices. They're trying to sell them for $1,000 a pop. So it's in their interests to just build something that's 95% of the way there and say, here you go. But the key takeaway is they now know how to do that. So when we look at this watch industry, as we are, we see this sort of thing, which to me is fascinating. And then we have the the kind of, I mean, I'm calling it a watch revolution. The fact that you can get things like the sort of Wes watches stuff for peanuts to the pound, and they're good watches. They're really good. Some of them keep time better than the premium ones. That is very difficult to ignore for me. I mean, I don't know if I can come on with a straight face and say, oh, what a great value proposition. What a great value proposition, ladies and gentlemen. I kissed ass with a Rolex dealer for 2 years, went on a waiting list, sent them a box of chocolates, and paid 15 grand for a watch that I could have got for, you know, peanuts if I'd headed elsewhere. And you know what's funny? When I think about like premium, when I think about, you know, like that luxury, real Rolexes, Pateks, all of that stuff, when I think about the kind of middle ground, the Seikos and all of that, the Citizens, when I think about the homages, which are perfectly legal, by the way, it's kind of the Wes Watch stuff. And as we go down the scale, obviously you've got copies and fakes. For my money, the coolness is in the Wes Watches level. That's the cool dude. That's the cool dude, you know? Um, and so if I don't think that this could ever become a watch channel because I just don't want to participate in this charade of you know, the kind of charade of flexing wealth that I'm seeing with some of the other stuff. I mean, go look up that Timepiece Gentleman stuff. You don't need to do any research. In fact, let me save you the trouble. I'll look them up myself right now, okay? Now, there was a fraud and there's all sorts of challenges with this stuff, with this guy. I mean, he got up to all sorts, right? But forget that stuff. If I just, and forgive me if I'm just typing here. Um, yeah, so people have made compilations of this guy flexing his wealth, you know, and here it is. Here he's in a fancy restaurant, and okay, it's actually a bit dull. Here he is in his office with his tight t-shirt and his well weight-lifted arms. I saw one where he was with his team, and just acting like a complete dipshit. Here's his cars, you know. Yeah, here's the tattoo, the obligatory tattoo, of course, you know. Um, and the funny thing is, I think I'm supposed to say something about didn't he do a terrible crime or something. I don't even get that far. I don't even care about that stuff. I just see a dude with like like I hate to lay it on you. We have an amnesty for people who got tattoos before the year 2000. We have an amnesty, and we have an amnesty for people who get tattoos to cover up scars and birthmarks. You have an amnesty. But those of you who are not in that category, you're a fucking conformist asshole. You know what I mean? Hate to lay it on you. And the minute I see a dude, Larnaca, yeah, and he's sitting and he's got a gal in the office saying, so what you got, holding the phone at? I just think, what an asshole. And some of you school leavers from the watch community fell for that shit. You watch that stuff and you're like, oh, look at the soundproof car. Oh, he's got a Lamborghini. Oh, oh. And you get so impressed by all of that bullshit. Well, I don't get impressed. In fact, how you like this? The only thing that dude's got going for him is the fact that he is a thieving criminal shyster. It makes him interesting. It makes him a talking point, you know? It gets a couple of brain cells firing and you think, how did he do that? Me, I'm on a different level from you people. I'm not looking around and saying, oh, he's wearing a Rolex and a Batman. I think it's just absolute bullshit. And there are too many people in the watch industry who fall for that shit. Who fall for that shit. And when I saw those guys in that channel the other day talking about me and saying, oh, he's wearing a cheap suit, they are so clueless. They are so living in the past. They are so out of touch with reality. They haven't got a clue and they just don't know me at all. And again, I'm not gonna insult my intelligence by going full Yorkshireman on you and saying, "Hey, do you know how much this cost?" And look at how hard my life was. My audience are far too intelligent, so I'm not gonna do that. So as far as the watch industry goes and watches in general, I do love it. I see it like a big vortex pulling you in. But I'm interested in watches for different reasons from other people. You know, I'm not looking at them to to flex wealth and show off and all of that stuff. I look at it in terms of, and I can't say that without sounding like a complete hippie. But for me, a watch sets the tone for the day. It's pretty much as simple as that. So I don't think that I'm going to be doing any. That we are not going to becoming a watch channel. There's too much flexing bullshit. There are a lot of watch enthusiasts out there who genuinely like watches and they love the history and they're probably just fascinated looking at them. I think that what's the name of the guy? Just One More Watch. I think his name's Jody. Very popular channel. He is clearly not flexing. I mean, the dude wears most of the time, he wears a white coloured Citizen. It's really plain and really boring. But I've heard them talking about it, and he says, only loses 2 seconds per year or something like that. And he's really into it. So there's a legitimate watch enthusiast right there. Another example is the Wristwatch Revival channel. What an excellent channel. It's a guy who takes these old watches and repairs them. And I love it. And he talks about the history and stuff. Who among us is going to fault that? It's fantastic. I think that the Urban Gentry channel is another one. I mean, I know that he's been a controversial figure for a variety of reasons and whatever, but nevertheless, I think he was accused of plagiarism or something. Whatever. But there's no denying that there's a guy who genuinely loves watches. Have you ever seen him opening up a watch? you saw me opening up one today. I was like, okay, that's good. I'll see it later. Do you ever watch that guy opening a watch? It's like, whoa, look at the blue. He's freaking out. You cannot fake that type of thing. So I heard somebody say, I think it was Jodie from One More Watch, that watch people are good people. And I think they are. I like watch people and I love the community. I don't think it's as mature as the web development community on YouTube, but I can see what way it's going to go. The the channels that are the biggest watch channels would be tiny if they were in the web development genre. And I think that the watch community on YouTube is at the same stage that the web development community was in about 8 years ago. That's interesting, isn't it? And I think that you can kind of see what way it's going to go. There's going to be um, heroes and villains. There's going to be a lot of drama, and there's going to be a lot of soap operas. And I'm just not interested in any of it. I like the repair channels. I like the history, and I like the well, I like the energy. That's basically it. I had a what, it must have been about a year ago, I think. Somebody came up for a consultation from England. He's probably watching. Hello, David. And he paid me in gold. And I'd heard for a while that apparently if you carry gold around with you, it attracts success, you know? And so for a while, I don't know how long, maybe I'm going to say about 6 months, I was carrying gold around with me, you know? Um, I only had, actually, don't be too impressed. I only had one gold coin, but it was a really good one. It was one of the buffaloes, you know? And I carried it around with me. And I was like, here we go. And you know what happened? Nothing. Nothing at all. maybe I wasn't doing the magic right. But then with with watches, I can put on a watch. I mean, I don't want to go Yorkshire man on you. Do you like my watch here? Do you like my watch, folks? Somebody's already complimented me on it. Somebody's already complimented me. Thank you so much. We have a few comments. Ahoy, Stefan. Ahoy to Jim. Ahoy to Dodger. Jamie Opulence. Ding, 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 ding. How you doing, Jamie? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, well, it's good to see you folks here. Right, how much? I'm not going to move it too close to the screen. We've got Jamie Opulence. He's definitely a watch expert. But I'm going to go kind of far back. And I want you to put a number on the screen. How much was this watch? Come on, let's have it. I'm not going to be offended if you say that it was only a $300 or whatever. Just how much was this watch? And we are not going too close to the screen. I'll bring it close in just a minute. Okay? I will bring it close in a minute and I'm going to reveal all. So how much was this little beauty? And while I wait on your answer, because there is a delay, I'll read your comments. Oh, is it Branislav? Hello to you. I apologize for missing you there. So let's have a look here. What we got. I can hear you. I can hear you in Poland. Ahoy to Poland. Dodger here says you don't need expensive watches to be a second-hand or to be a collector. Second-hand G-Shocks and Casios are interesting to collect on a budget. And Jamie Opulent says, yes, David, spot on analysis regarding tattoos. Thank you, Jamie. I was nervous about saying that in case I would offend people. Dodger, I got my tats when I was 13. Oh, okay. So I think he has hopefully qualified for the amnesty. Do I know Tickers? He's a Yorkshire man. I don't. Like I say, I know that my mum's side of the family come from Yorkshire, somewhere along the line. Jamie Opulent says there's a gap in the market for an equalizer type fella around the watch community. Wow. Don't encourage me, man. You'll have me up all night saying that. Okay, Branislav says $500. Kokoras, who is a member and regular of the channel, knows me kind of well, says $8. Um, and Jamie Opulence says, mistaken identities, I'm not a watch expert, it's Higgy. Who is a watch expert? I don't think it's whom, you know. Don't think it's, is it whom? Jamie whom is a what? No, it's who. Jamie who is a what? I think it's who. I might be wrong about that. Anyway, okay, so thank you for your estimates. What a miserable assortment of estimates they were. So I'll reveal all. This watch here, and here it is here. This, my little beauties, is, and I've worn it before. I wear it quite a lot, actually. Can we focus? Please focus. That's right. Can we get it? Can we get it? Can we get it? Come on. Come on. There we go. This is a Geneva. This is a Geneva. Now, if you look really closely, the hands are sort of bent. Do you see the big hand? It kind of sticks out just a wee bit. And the hour hand, do you see how it's slightly bent, right? So, it's a Geneva. This watch cost £1.50. £1.50. But there's really two reasons why I got it. First of all, remember I was talking about watches they set the tone, right? They set the tone. Well, today I thought, what kind of day would I like to have? And I thought, I would like to be kind of happy. It's a strange time of year. The weather's miserable and everything. I'm actually on my own just now for reasons that I won't bore you with. But I like to be kind of cheerful. And look at that. Look at how cheerful and happy that is. Now, I'm not here all smiles and sunshine, but do you see what I'm saying? I look at it and I feel happy. And I can imagine myself on a boat or maybe watching a jazz band and having a great time. And I'm wearing this and I'm happy. It makes me happy. And who among us is going to fault that? My This particular one, by the way, um, I opened it up for some stupid reason. I don't know why. And it was in pieces. And I spent ages trying to get the hands on and I couldn't put it back together. And it was just a pile of parts. And I was over at my mum's house at the time and I'm like, oh, well, that's for the bin. And she says, can I see it? And I'm like, you've no chance. Forget it. I had been doing that. The hands were bent and everything. It's for the bin. I had opened it up. It was gone. Mum says, no, put it together. And about 15 minutes later, my mum says, here you go. And it was all fixed. It's kind of a magical little thing, you know? So that's that. And to me, that's cool. That's cool. And it's one of the things that I like about the watch game. You don't have to pay fortunes, and the same applies with clothing. The way that I dress right now probably costs less than the way that an average person dresses. Now, again, I don't want to go full Yorkshireman on you, but what a misconception to think that I'm coming on here, flexing wealth or something like that. I'm not. I'm not at all. So now you know. Okay. So congratulations to Kokoras, by the way, who was quite close there. Now, Dodger says, so you're a watch collector, nice pocket and wristwatch. Alex could fix the hand for you. No, I love the hand as it is. I love it. I love it. To me, it's absolutely perfect. I'll probably have a different one on tomorrow. Maybe it'll be maybe by your standards, folks, it'll be a fancier one. Maybe it'll be another cheaper one. Maybe it'll be a middle ground, one of those homages. Maybe it'll be a fake. Nah, I think that's considered uncool, right? Anyway, at the end of the day, I'm surprised that people think that dressing like this is flexing wealth. It's really not. Somebody said on the stream yesterday a comment that kind of offended me in the moment, but when I look back, I realised that I wasn't offended, but I thought, is this somebody having a go? Because they said uh, they said about my clothes, so does the suit fit you? I'd mentioned that the suit I had on yesterday, I picked it up from a clearance store, and they says, does it fit you? And it's funny how when it comes to suits, everybody gets so hung up. Oh no, does it fit right? Does it fit? Does it fit? And all of that. And there's YouTube videos where people will speak for an hour about how to get a suit that fits and how to identify a suit that fits. Interestingly, I've heard conflicting information on YouTube. Take sleeves. On YouTube, I'm seeing videos saying that this is perfect. But I've been to a suit place and they've said that this is more desirable lower down. I haven't figured it out and I don't stay up at night worrying about this type of stuff. But what occurred to me is I think it was a legitimate question because the clearance stores and all of that, you go in, it's stuff that never sold, and finding stuff that fits can be a challenge. Well, the good news is hardly anybody dresses like this. So it's like, you're totally cool. When I made the decision to change the way that I dressed, and it was about 6 months ago, I thought to myself, this is going to cost 10 grand to just get a kick of the ball. Because I had no jeans and t shirts. And I figured this is going to take me about 10 grand. Today, I have two wardrobes packed to the brim with clothes. I can go weeks without wearing the same thing twice, and it was actually peanuts. Like again, I don't want to go full Yorkshire man, but it's really really inexpensive. Um, the I'll tell you where I get my stuff from because I kind of want to encourage people to do this. I mean, it will really really I don't want to be so dramatic to say it'll change your life, but I think it changes your energy a little bit. Last night, I'm cat sitting right now for somebody who's away, and I do a lot of driving about. And last night I was driving about Moss Park really late at night after midnight, and the cops drove by. Moss Park is kind of a quiet neighbourhood. And I thought, "Oh, here we go." And I've done it a million times, and they stop and they put the lights on and they pull you over. Well, you know what? That kind of shit never, ever happens. Never happens anymore. I mean, I was in one of the supermarkets the other day and there's massive queues everywhere. And I walked to the information desk and I just says, look, and there's nothing fancy in my demeanour. I just says, look, I wonder if you could do me a favour. Any chance you could open up another checkout? Oh, right away, sir. And they open the checkout, and all of those turkeys in the queue are looking, going, what the hell? Stuff like that happens when you dress like this. And I'm telling you, man, I cannot advise on women's fashion, but if you're a guy, like, especially, I was about to say, especially if you're a white guy, because it's like everybody on YouTube keeps on babbling about white privilege. I've never felt white privilege. Not at all. But you know what? You clean up your act with regards to how you dress, and just maybe you will start to notice little differences. You get these just little moments. You can talk to people, and they look at you and they think, okay, he's probably not going to rob me. It's really really good, and it's a world of uh, laughter and excitement because of course it's all just an illusion, but it changes how you feel and it changes how other people treat you. And I cannot recommend it enough. Now, I'll give you the pros and cons, but first of all, I've given you the pros. I'll give you the cons and then I'll tell you where I go for this type of stuff and how I got to where I am with this. Um, so, 2 seconds. Yeah, there are a few cons. Now, one of the cons um, is that you do sometimes intimidate people, and I've felt that a couple of times. Especially sometimes you can be talking to a prospect, I was speaking to a prospect the other day. I'm a web developer, not the other day, about 2 weeks ago. And I met this prospect, and the guy had his own company and everything. He could totally afford me. Anybody watching this could afford me. But when the guy looked at me, I could tell that he was just like, I can't afford this guy. And I could tell that, I don't want to sound arrogant, but I think he was kind of intimidated. And I've had one or two people who are a little bit intimidated, and they'll typically say things like, "Oh, I'll figure it out myself," and stuff like that. And they just assume that they cannot afford you. I've had that, you know. I've I think there's been another one or two little social occasions where I felt people uh, respond in a slightly, again, almost as if they're intimidated way, and I don't like that. You know, that's a problem. Um, Not often, but that is something. Another downside is that I think that when you walk about like this in the street, you are actually uh, probably a bit more likely to get mugged. I've had one incident where I had a couple of thugs following me and giving me jip, you know. That happened once. And the other downside about dressing nicely is it does take a long time. I mean, some days it takes me 1 hour to get ready. Uh, Ironing clothes and all of this stuff that I never bothered about, that most of us forgot about, like polishing shoes. It takes ages, you know, and that's a bit of a challenge as well. So it's not all sunshine and smiles. But nevertheless, for me, the pros outweigh the cons, absolutely, and I recommend it. Now, the way that I would, well, I'll tell you how I managed to end up with this incredible wardrobe with the low earnings that I currently have. Funnily enough, it's not eBay. I ordered one jacket from eBay. It was a tweed one, and I looked like the dude from Talking Heads with a big oversized jacket. It never fit. For some reason, that just left a bad taste in my mouth. So I don't do that. But the magic word of the day is clearance store. Okay, go to your search engine, type in clearance store. It turns out that all of these clothes shops and whatnot around the neighbourhood, when they don't sell stuff, it often goes to a clearance store. These clearance stores, we're not talking about TK Maxx. I'm talking about out of town warehouses that nobody knows about. You won't see them advertised on TV or anything. They are in the middle of nowhere. The one that I go to is near Glasgow Airport. It's basically out in the sticks. They've recently shut it down though, which is a downer. But these places exist, and it's the outlets where they take all of that stuff that never sold, and there's loads of it, and they'll give you it for peanuts to the pound. So I've picked up like really great jackets for 15 quid, you know? Um, and it's not expensive at all. On the ties front, I've got tons of ties, all shapes and sizes, and I've got ties with matching handkerchiefs and everything. For that, I would recommend just AliExpress. I mean, you can pick up beautiful ties for like £3 a pop. It's really, really great, you know. For things like um, shoes, you can go somewhere like Matalan, and for 20, 30 quid, you can have a great pair of shoes. The bottom line is, you can look fantastic from top to toe, dressed far better than the average guy, but for far less money. And it's most certainly not flexing wealth. It's something else. Um, and that's the way you do it, you know. And I would also say, and I've said it before, that the first, for anyone thinking about doing this, the first thing to look at is just get a white shirt. Actually, get lots of white shirts. Just loads and loads of white shirts. And when you wash them only with other white shirts. So I'm not wearing a white shirt today, but normally when you've got a white shirt on, it should be frigging gleaming. gleaming white. And if you do even just that one change, wait till you see the reaction when people say, "Oh, you're looking really smart today." The white shirt is the foundation. So, for anyone starting out, my advice, go buy a nice white shirt. Don't pay hundreds for it. I got mine for 15 quid or something like that. Again, I think I got picked them up from Matalan, right? Really cheap shop, but they're excellent. And look at the quality. Do you know how to tell the difference between a quality shirt and a low quality shirt? Do you know? Okay, I can show you if you want. Um, anyway, maybe I can't because I've just realised that I have a big collection of white shirts in a day a week when they get all washed, and I think today's going to be that day. So I can tell you that the difference between a quality shirt and a low quality shirt is the material. So you look really, really closely, and if it's kind of just flat and smooth, like it's kind of like a schoolboy shirt, it's probably cheap. But if it has texture, that means it may well be a quality shirt, you know? Anyway, I think that's pretty much all I've got, really. I was strangely annoyed when those guys were like, "Oh, he's probably wearing a cheap suit." I'm like, dudes, you have no frigging clue. I mean, like, are people still in that world? Jeez, oh, that's not where I'm living at all. This is not about. None of this is about flexing wealth. It's about, and again, I really don't want to. I I kind of feel a wee bit like the self help movement is dead, but I am going to throw in the phrase. It's about raising your vibrational level. You know, another thing that's a little con, by the way, is it does make you look older when you dress like this. But I'm okay with that. You know. All right. So I think that's all I've got. Let me see if I've got a few comments here before I start my real work day. Um, so Dodger says, "Am I a watch collector?" Not really. I don't think I'm serious enough. Am I planning to do a fan meetup? Yeah. Can you imagine it? It'd be like, what, three guys in a pub or something? It'd be a bit strange. Um, Free Higgins, the Elite Horology channel. Free Higgins. Is Higgins around? I don't know how to free Higgins. I will free Higgins if he wants. I'll bring him on. I'll bring Higgins on if he wants. There you go. Um, they close checkouts when I enter a store. Dodger says, "Well, I'm telling you, man, take my advice. You know, they won't close checkouts when you start dressing like this." And by the way, another thing I will say, uh, I did an experiment when I was starting in web development where I I used to go cold calling, and I remember I watched Bill Clinton, who was the, the president at the time. Tells you how long I've been doing web development. And I remember saying, "I'm going to get a Bill Clinton suit," and I got one, and I headed out with my leaflets, and I had doors slammed in my face, left, right, and center. You have to be cautious because when you dress up with a suit and a shirt and tie, you're actually wearing the uniform of a telesales employee. You look like a double glazing salesman. And I never realized that until I went out and I had doors slammed in my face. This is why it's really important to accessorize. You see this stuff here? And by the way, this is a different pocket watch from the one I had on yesterday. I've got a few of these, you know. Um, this here, this is accessories in full formation. And all it does is it sends a little subliminal message. And the subliminal message is, I'm not a fucking telesales employee. You know what I'm saying? It's just a little, I'm really not, you know? And that's why I would highly recommend, if you're going to do this, get yourself a bling box, you know? Again, peanuts to the pound. But what do we get? Bunch of little studs for your jackets. Find a little symbol or something that matters to you. Things like these can be good. You have to watch though, because you can overdo it. Like if I do that, it looks okay, but it's kind of trying too hard. So you have to be subtle, you know? But get yourself a little bling box. Peanuts to the pound. For £3, you'll be able to buy a box full of about 100 of these little stud things. You chuck them in, little cheap watch, and it's just, you know, a little highlight, and it really, really makes the difference, you know? So that would be my other thing. All right. So, thank you very much indeed. I appreciate the comments, and Jim here. I the reason I struggle to read the comments in case I faff up names or something. But our good friend Jim here says, I'm not surprised that it takes so much real money to impress fake people. I'm right there with you on the merits of looking good without having to spend every penny you have. Well, there you have it. And isn't it funny how if you go back like half a century, loads of people dressed like this, especially guys. It was normal, perfectly normal, you know. And it shouldn't be something that we look upon as being, oh, he's trying to flex wealth or anything. It's not. And let me show you something else. I'm just going to show you this before I go. Now, if I look up something like this, I hope I've got the spelling right. Okay. Do any of you remember? Now, I've just done a search here. Do any of you remember Trigglypuff? This is Trigglypuff. I know it's going back a while, right? There we go, right? Right. It's gone back a little bit. But if we take a look at, we'll maybe use this cartoon here. There's a few interesting things that are worthy of observation here. For example, you can see we've got purple hair. Another thing very common among a certain type is, let's see here, if we do a search, what would be a search that would show something like this? Let's say, I don't want to become too political, but we've seen the uniform of the woke, have we not? We know what the uniform of the wokest looks like. It's usually purple hair, sometimes a nose ring, obligatory tattoos, by the way. It's an absolute giveaway. And on and on we go. Now, I am not a political guy. As I've said many times before, I don't even vote. But I am 100% anti-woke. I think wokeism is absolute poison. Now, what is the opposite of a ring through your nose, purple hair, and a bullshit, disgusting smudge of a tattoo? What's the opposite? That's right. The opposite is to dress like the frigging equalizer. That's the opposite. And so there's not too many people who dress like this, but occasionally you see them. And when you see them, they look at you. And there's a little moment because they know the game and you know the game. And I'm not going around preaching politics or anything, but there is another level to this, which is this is actually a very subtle, most people wouldn't even know about it, but it's a very subtle rejection of radical wokeism, believe it or not. How about that? See? We do indeed put a lot of thought into these matters. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoy these little daily waffles, you know. I'll keep a lookout on the comments on the likes and stuff, and if people like this kind of thing, maybe we'll keep this going. In the meantime, thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a great day. And Jennifer, ahoy to you. Thank you once again. Let's do the roll call of honor. We have Jamie Opulence. What a beautiful name. He has a channel. Chuck your channel on, folks, if you've got a YouTube channel. Jamie Opulence has got a channel. By all means. We have Dodger here. Jennifer in the house. Nice to see you. Branislav. We had the great Jim in full formation. Is that Jim Thomure? Anyway, nice to see you. The Elite Horology channel. If ever there was a channel name that we should check out, maybe that's it. I'll have a look at that at some point. Thank you for coming. Karokas, bless you. Nice to see you here. And I hope I haven't. Oh, Stefan, pillar of the community. Ahoy to you, Stefan. I'll be seeing you during the live stream after this. I hope I haven't missed anyone else, but thank you so much for being here. Have a fantastic day, and whatever you're doing, just do it with an expectation of success. I'll catch you later.